Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Róisín here with another sketchbook flick through. Hey folks, it's Róisín here and I am going to show you an old sketchbook today because it's the right time of year and there's some really nice seasonal sort of sketches in this little book. Now, I know you haven't seen any of this video yet, but if you do like it and if you like sketching and all things ink and watercolour, then I would encourage you to like and even subscribe to my channel, because it's just the sort of thing I do and I think you might like it. Now, I absolutely love sketching people, but they will move, especially when you're in a cafe and they're coming and going and choosing their pastries and all that kind of thing. So I've discovered a really nice trick to get around this problem, and it's something that I tried for the first time in this sketch. It's where you draw the background in your pen line, and then when the people come and go, well, you just draw them on top in maybe a brightly coloured ink, and then when you've got them nicely safe and secure on the page, then you can paint in the background behind them and leave the people see-through. I call it ghost people. Well, I sort of ran away with myself after that. I thought it was great. It was a lovely technique. So I went to a different cafe and I tried it again. And it did work now. I must say it did work. And in this one, I've used fuchsia coloured ink by Dea Trementis as the bright colour, because I do think it works better to have a bright colour ink against the rich background. In the same cafe on another wintry day, I did these two beautiful girls sitting having their cup of coffee and in fact playing a game of cards. They were enjoying each other's company. It was lovely to see it. All throughout the autumn, I just love to capture the colours of the leaves that grow in the garden around my little studio. And this is a horse chestnut tree that is right behind where I teach and where I paint. Now, it doesn't usually look very good. It's a bit sparse, but I love drawing it anyway. It's great. Now, I have to say I love this sketch. It was designed as an exercise for my students to show them how to capture the difference between clear glass on the right-hand bottle on the left-hand page and frosty glass, the left-hand bottle on the left-hand page. And it's a really simple way to do that. All you do is make sure you've got a sharp boundary between the highlight of the glass on the shiny bottle and a soft, blurry boundary on the highlight on the frosty glass. I really loved doing the convicts on the labels from Australia. Poor guys. I'm sure they would have been mightily, something if they'd realised that one day they were going to end up on a wine bottle. I don't know. Did they ever even drink a glass of wine in all their days? I doubt it somehow. One of the more glorious trees in the autumn around where I live is a beech tree. On the front of our house, at the bottom of the drive, it's all lined with beech trees that my husband Marcel planted, 20 odd years ago. So they're big and lush and healthy, and they have the most gorgeous leaves at the end of the autumn. And I love sketching them. Now, this one is a row of houses not too far from where I live. And what I like about this particular sketch, it's not the roofs, it's not the chimneys, although I do love doing them. It's the shine on the cars that I like the most. And it's the reflection of the trees in the wintry glass of the car windows. I just love capturing small details like that. Well, it was this time of year, middle of November, when I made this sketch in the airport, in Dublin Airport. And, I'm one of those people who I suppose it's quite easy to annoy me. And there's a gentleman on the right-hand side and he's watching a show with his woman beside him. I don't know if you can see them right in the middle. And they haven't bothered to use earphones or headphones or anything. And they're listening to it really loudly. However, the fellow to their left, on the bench there in the middle, he's enjoying the show too. He doesn't know them, but he's saying, do you know what? If they've got the volume that loud, I might as well enjoy the show as well. Do you know what? I'm going to try the same thing. The next time I'm in an airport or even a train, I'm going to say, do you mind scooching on over there a little bit and letting me sit beside you? Because your show sounds really good. Well, I got to Clermont-Ferrand and yes, it was a beautiful November sort of a season. And I was there for the Rendevous Carne du Voyage, which is a kind of a sketchbooking festival, travel sketchbooking festival. And I did have to teach, online remotely while I was there because I had a day scheduled in to teach. And didn't I go and leave my sketchbook in the venue when the day came? And so I opened the windows of the apartment where I was staying and I looked out over the park and I just invited my students, virtually, to sketch them with me. And it was lovely. It was lovely. I hope they had a nice time because I sure had a lovely time. Now, I got to tell you, my favourite aspect of going to the Rendezvous Carne du Voyage is all the friends I meet when I'm over there. And on the left, we have Marc Dujoux and we have Tazab. And Tazab is a great friend of mine and he is a gifted and very prolific sketcher. This night was one of those very French centre of France kind of nights where we went to a creperie and it looks for all the world as if D'Artagnan and whatever other names that Three Musketeers have are going to tie up their horses outside and bound in and overturn some tankards and generally make a noise. That's in the old part of Clermont-Ferrand, and this is what the old part of the town looks like on the outside. So it's just as Three Musketeers on the outside as it is in that creperie. I mean, the place is gorgeous. It really is. For this one, I stood in a doorway and the traffic going past me was like vroom, really, really close to me. But I got it done. Here's one of my friends, Jörg, who was visiting the festival as well. Nice picture. Pity I had a misstart. Now this one, not my finest work. Great evening though. This was at our friend Tazab's annual party that he holds in his lovely house on the outskirts of Clermont-Ferrand every year. But I'd had a few drinks, so it's not that good. Now, I stayed on after the festival was over. It finishes on the Sunday every year, and I had a job that was due to start on the Wednesday, a couple of days later. So I had a couple of days to hang around and do some more sketching, which I always love because there's something like a free day when no one is kind of, watching you and you're not on the clock. And I sat in the Place Vercingétorix, and I drew these fine statue of the vanquished Gaul on his horse with, I think, what looks like a dead Roman at his feet. The next day was really, really bright and sunny, but it was cold and I wasn't feeling so well. And what I didn't know was that I'd picked up a dose of COVID over the weekend of the Rendevous Carne de Voyage. So I wasn't feeling very good. Anyway, I stood and drew that ramp thing that is a thing that was used by Michelin, the tyre company, to test their tyres. They used to kind of, vroom them up the ramp and then shoot them off the top and see how they behaved when they fell. Not that I imagine that imitates real life very, very well. But they had to put their tyres to the test. I liked the kind of contrast between the nature of the leaves and the horrible industrial bit of the rusty old scaffold on the left. This is the outside, painted onto the glass of the place where I worked. And my job was to draw children over the course of 4 days. It was really nice. My job was to draw the children in action, and it took a couple of sketches before I got into the swing of it. But once I did, I really enjoyed it. I'm very proud of the work I did over those few days. I met my lovely friend Tazab for drinks or coffees or whatever on my hours off, my lunch hours. And this was one episode in a cafe quite close to where I was working. I can't remember the name of the bar, but I really liked sort of picking up the green in the customer's coat and I think somebody's trousers and the green paint on the walls. And then I married it with like a bit of Payne's grey. In this one, I didn't really manage to do the same thing because my ink in my pen ran out, which is why it's full of pink pen. So you might look at it and go, wow, Róisín is so imaginative with her ink colour. But no, it's just because I literally ran out of the regular colour ink, whatever that was that I was using. What I particularly like about this scene is the way everyone is kind of like so casually sitting around and suggesting their nice wines and everything. And it's just a rugby bar, in the middle of the day. And there's a dog who comes over for pats. And everybody's so chilled out. But that's France for you. They're all so relaxed. In the same square, which is kind of the main square of Clermont-Ferrand, there is the cathedral. And it is a gorgeous cathedral. But it just would not fit into my sketchbook pointing in the normal way. So I swiveled the book around. And then I was left with this kind of bit I had to throw in. And the reason I did is because 2 of the windows were boarded up with plywood and they looked awful. So instead I just did those women sitting around having a nice hot something or other mulled wine. And I thought that looked kind of nice. For this little sketch, I just cut a twig of pine from outside my garden, brought it into the studio and sketched it. And with my class, we made it into Christmas cards. Same with this one, the poinsettia. Oh, I skipped over the one that I don't like. It's not worth it. This one I really like. This is having a glass of hot port with my daughter, Honor, in a very nice hotel in Galway City. However, I didn't write a recipe for hot port. I wrote a recipe for mulled wine. And it's a very nice recipe. Now, this one is one of my favourites. A cold winter's day. Where do you go and sketch on a cold winter's day? Well, you pull in off the road in your car, somewhere safe, and you sketch through the car window. I really enjoyed that one. This one I enjoyed very much as well. This was one of those days that we had in Galway with a very, very deep and white frost that looked for all the world like snow. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself now because it's not quite time for a tree yet. But this was my dear husband watching some kind of rugby final or perhaps football. I've no idea and don't have much care, really, for that kind of thing. However, what I do love is vanilla kipferl, these little Austrian-style almond bickies that my husband, because of his Austrian heritage, makes every year, and so do all the children. So, it's nice for me. And these are the two beautiful cups that I got for Christmas that year. The one on the left is from my dear friend Jerry, all the way over in the States. And the one on the right is from my dear daughter Livy, all the way here in Galway. And on the last page, I managed to get a nice cafe sketch in. And it was fun because I only used one colour for the people in the background, which made everything so much easier. And I do love painting the patterns on the surface of a cup of coffee, tended to by a very skilled barista. And that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. It's goodbye from me, Róisín, and Reuben. See you next time.